Hello and welcome back to Lesson 2 in Module 1 of the Honey Glen Basic Beekeeping course. There was a saying among the beekeepers in our club, the best time to get into beekeeping is now. On the one hand, I want to encourage you to jump right into beekeeping. There's a lot you can learn on the go, and learning by doing is a great way to learn. On the other hand, beekeeping is not a small, trivial decision. It's going to mean changes to your life. I had a friend who jumped right into beekeeping and then he made a mistake. He treated for varroa mite pests while his boxes of harvestable honey were on the hive, so his honey was ruined. He was very discouraged. As far as I know, he sold out of all his beekeeping equipment, quit beekeeping altogether, and never showed up again at our regular beekeeping meetings. That's why I am encouraged when people take steps to learn as much as they can ahead of time and to avoid those kinds of mistakes. I knew another beekeeper who was always at the meetings as I was getting started, so I assumed he was just a long-time beekeeper. And when I asked him how many honeybee colonies he had, he said he didn't have any. He hadn't gotten bees yet. He was just trying to learn more about beekeeping before he got started. And I like that approach. I have never regretted doing the same thing. Today he has a large number of hives. He sells a lot of honey. He sells bees to other beekeepers. So I think it's important to lay a good foundation. So I want to cover 8 important things here to consider before becoming a beekeeper, just to make sure none of them have been overlooked. The first one for this lesson is family considerations. I assume you have already considered this, but I want to mention it anyway, just because it is so important. Your family will be your biggest asset to beekeeping. I regularly read about interviews with beekeeping operations, and the vast majority of beekeeping businesses are family run. From hobbyists to commercial businesses, they tend to be very strongly family oriented. 2 are always better than 1. It greatly improves the efficiency to have another person there. It seems I always work faster when someone else is with me, and there are many jobs that I need to do that I cannot do alone, whether that would be loading a hive into the truck, bringing the honey extractor into the house, etc. It's always good to have a second person there. The time spent patiently teaching someone else how to do it and encouraging them instead of just getting it done yourself will be repaid many times over as they are able to share the load and do things for you. So don't be afraid to ask for help, especially if you want your bees to pay for themselves. And just as a note to parents, several times I have seen fathers and sons get into beekeeping together when both are interested. It almost seems like a guarantee of success. I'm always encouraged when I see parents and children doing things together, and I've also known young people to get into beekeeping without really much involvement or support from their parents, and it just didn't last very long. Not to say that it can't, because everyone's situation is different. And along the same lines, beekeeping can be a great addition to a young person's education, or anyone's education. Everyone wants to know more about the things they care about. It can be a springboard to learning about history, life biology of animals, life and biology of plants or parasites, about economics, about marketing, about wood shop and industrial arts, mathematics, health and nutrition, even about law and government policy. So if you're a parent, listen and wait for your son or daughter to ask a question related to bees. Capitalize on it and encourage them to find answers. It would be a good idea just to gauge how your family members feel about beekeeping. Are they excited and eager to help? Is it a race to get the stuff and put it together? Are they favorable, willing to help if needed? Are they just indifferent? Not interested, not opposed. Are they disagreeable? Like, you're on your own, don't bother me with it, and keep them out of my way? Or are they downright opposed? Defiant. You come home with bees and I'll meet you with a shotgun. So consider these things. Remember that feelings can drastically change. One definition of cautiousness that I like is knowing how important right timing is in accomplishing right actions. So this factor of your family and how they feel about it could make or break the decision to get into beekeeping, or at least the time in which you do. So be on their side, understand their concerns. They're probably legitimate. If there's not a win win situation, I don't recommend sacrificing family relationships for beekeeping. If family members ask questions you cannot answer, you can work together to find the answer. Be on their side, be on the same side. So, beekeeping can offer great opportunities to spend time together, to work together, to learn together, to go through difficulties together, and to enjoy success together. With relationships intact, other difficulties become easier to handle. Even if your beekeeping is going to be a one man operation, it's hard for beekeeping not to affect other people around you. So, with family as your biggest asset, you don't want your hobby to become a source of aggravation that only gets worse the more successful it becomes. And then, as a word to young people, your parents, of course, probably know your shortcomings and needs better than anyone. So, listen to their advice and counsel. Consider it your most valuable. And I remember in my family when we first got started with beekeeping, it was a family decision. We started in the late summer reading a book together about honeybees, about beekeeping. I think the book we read was Beekeeping: A Practical Guide. And by getting started in the late summer that way, we were able to find beekeeping equipment, find a source of bees, and be ready for beekeeping by spring with everyone having an idea of what it would involve. So that is the first thing to consider before investing time and money in beekeeping, and we'll cover the next one in the next session.